Again today. It is a privilege and honor for me to lecture once more. This will be my third lecture that you have heard of mine. You watched one by video, a recorded lecture. Then 2 weeks ago, I was here speaking on personal leadership and purpose in life. And then today I'm going to be talking about servant leadership, but first I want to review some of the lesson before to help you to remember some of the things that we talked about earlier. So we're going to be talking about in a minute the 4 pillars of effective leadership. Here we go. I'll turn this on. We will discuss the 4 pillars of effective leadership. But first I want to review with some definitions, some key the 3 key relationships and how leaders give life to each person. Again, with the definitions, leadership is influence. Remember, this was the word, one word that's most important of leadership is this word. Leaders influence other people, and they always influence people to go to a goal. They influence you to go to a goal, a vision, or a purpose. Very, very important. Leadership is never stagnant. Leadership never stands still. Leadership is always taking a person going into a direction. Leadership is influence. It's the ability of one person to influence another person. My definition was that accepting a calling upon God as you live a life of personal character, influencing others toward a worthy goal. But effective leaders influence others to accomplish their goals through significant relationships. It's all about a relationship. Again, we talked about this 3 kinds of relationships every leader has. A leader and their mentor, a leader in self, and a leader in others. And I talked about in my life how my leader was my relationship with God and how important that was for me. This little picture I drew on the board, but again, this kind of helps you to see, first of all, a leader is taking someone toward a goal. So they basically, you have a person that is influencing others into a purpose or into an objective. But the second relationship of every leader is their relationship with themselves. It's how they lead themselves. And if you cannot lead yourself, then you are not going to be very effective at leading other people. We talked about the issue of having a desire, that you had to have a drive, and you needed to be disciplined. Those were the 3 things we discussed about a leader and self. And the last one was a leader and their mentor. It is the person that is influencing your life. It's helping you to lead other people. And we will discuss that more today, and I will give you a chance to actually write down who your mentor is and who has helped you to be a leader. I will also ask you to write on your piece of paper who you want to lead or who you're leading in their life as well. So a leader always moves, it takes a person or other people toward a purpose and the goal, and the objective really is that they will be influencing them. Then I discussed how a leader basically, we'll do it this way, gives life, L-I-F-E. That one of the ways that a leader gives life is, one of the ways that person has influence is as they give life. That a leader leads by example. A leader inspires you to a worthy goal or to a purpose. That a leader takes you from fear to faith. Or they take you from fear to hope and to courage, to trust. And our culture is very afraid because of coronavirus and many other reasons. We live in a very fearful world. Always, we are afraid of earthquakes. We are afraid of failure. We are afraid of disappointing our parents or disappointing our friends. Our life is often very fearful. Last time when I spoke, I did not have the chance to have these books with me, but I would like to. There's a book that have used in the States and have used now also in Japan called Where is God in the Coronavirus World? Or here's the Japanese version of the same book. Where is God in the coronavirus world? Because if there is evil, if there are problems, if there are fear, does God relate to that? And so I want to give this to someone. Does anyone have a birthday in June, or was anyone born in the month of June here? Okay. You two both are. Okay, what is your birthday? What day in June? Pardon? What day in June? June 30th? 22. June 22nd. When was your birthday in June? 20th. Ah, June 20th. Well, I will give you both one since your birthdays are coming up. What is today? Is today the 20th? Today's your birthday. Yesterday. Oh, happy birthday. Do you would like to have one in English or like to have it in Japanese? Same book, one Japanese, one English. Which one would you like? Okay. All right, you can have it. There, you are welcome. Happy birthday. And maybe you can enjoy reading this and thinking about, so welcome to that. And happy birthday, just yesterday. And yours will be tomorrow. Your birthday will be tomorrow. And so basically a leader takes a person from fear to faith and helps them to understand the difference in those two things. And the last thing that a leader does is a leader encourages the heart. They encourage your heart. Well, I have a question for you. Which letter of life, of L-I-F-E, is the most important to you? Which one of these definitions or these sentences lead by example, inspire a vision, from fear to faith, or encourage your heart? Which one is the most important? I want you to discuss with the person you are sitting beside and discuss which is the most important, and then we will lecture in a minute after that. So discuss which one of those things lead by example, inspire toward a vision, from fear to faith, or encourage your heart is the most important to you. Okay? So discuss.
I think it needs encourage your
Which one did you?
encourage your
Encourage the heart. How about yours? That's how it's part of the vision. Good, so y'all are different.
Wait, speak in English, please. Yeah.
From fear to faith. Encourage the heart to be encouraged. Which one do you? Encourage the heart. Okay. And yours? From fear to faith. Yes. Okay. Two different. Happy birthday yesterday. All right. Very good.
The lead
Inspire. Okay. And yours is the same. Oh, you had the same. Everybody else has been different. You two are the same.
let's speak in Spanish.
Inspire for vision. The same. Inspire for vision. What did you think? It's to encourage the heart, okay. And yours was from fear to faith. Okay, wonderful. Those are both very, very important to have. Wonderful. That's good. Thank you. What did you think? Encourage the heart. And yours, you both encourage the heart? Good. All right. Well, Which one was yours? Encourage the heart, okay? And yours was same. Both of you same. Encourage the heart. Good heart. Yours? Encourage heart. Yours was to lead by example. You're the first person I talked to that said lead by example. So that's good. Yours? Inspired toward a vision. Okay.
Because it inspires a vision. Previously, clear vision.
Yes, you have clear vision. Yeah, that's good. Good, excellent. Excellent comment. Good. And I think what was yours was, I forget what you said. What did you say? Your number one was encourage heart. Yours was inspire. Okay, I've gone to each group and I have asked you, but I want to have you raise your hand now so each of you can see, okay? And I will do this a little bit differently. I'm just kind of curious. We will do it according to male and female. Male and female. L-I-F-E. We will see if there's a difference on this half of the room instead of this half of the room. So first, we'll let the ladies go first. I'm curious, how many of you said that, of the ladies, said that you need to lead by example was your number one? Hold your hand up. Okay, I did not, this is the ladies. How about inspire by vision? Inspire toward a vision, ladies. 1, 2, 3. Okay. How about from fear to faith? 1, 2, 3. All right. And how about to encourage the heart? 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. That is great. Okay, men, it's your turn. How many said to lead by example? One of you did. Yes, I see that. Yes, one led by example. Okay. How about inspire toward a vision? 1, 2, 3. All right. How about from fear to faith? Oh, none. And how about E, to encourage the heart? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. That's interesting that you see the difference, that the women wanted to basically no one said to lead by example. One person did. And the men, nobody said fear. But most of you said to encourage your heart. And that was interesting. And the females said, had 3 that said fear. Now, that's not a scientific study, but it does show us that there's maybe a difference in how we think, but all of us need a leader to give us life. All of us want someone to say, yes, you can do this. Yes, I want to encourage you. Yes, you're the person that needs this job and will be able to help you to accomplish those things. And so a leader gives life to someone else. They take you from being dead to life, and they help you to understand how to have that life toward you. Now, what I want to do is I want today to talk about servant leadership. And I want to discuss with you and give you a new model for leadership, a new style of leadership called servant leadership. You may have heard of that term. It is a very, the last 10 to 15 to 20 years in America, it has been very, very common. Servant leadership is taught in universities. I know it is taught here in Japan as well at Oyongaike University. But we will discuss servant leadership. Now, let me tell you the difference in servant leadership and other types of leadership. You will see even a word that says the servant leader is servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve and to serve first. Then a consensus choice brings one to aspire to lead, or conscious choice. That person is sharply different from one who wants to be the leader first, perhaps because of the need to fulfill unusual power. But servant leader, there's two different extremes in leadership. One is leader first. And that is the thing that most of us have seen, or most of us have understood, that I want to be a leader, I want to be in charge, I'm the person that should be the leader. But the servant leader says, I want to be a servant first. And they're a servant before they are a leader. The leader first is about self. The servant first is about others. Many of us have been around different people who like to lead, but they want you to serve them. They want you to be the person that takes care of them, and they're out front saying, look at me, I'm in charge. But a servant says, look at you. You are important. Most teachers, many teachers are servants because they put the student first. They want the student to learn. They want the student to understand and to comprehend the content that they're doing. So it's servant first instead of leader first. Servant first instead of leader first. Servant leadership, though, can appear to be a paradox, or it can be very confusing, because how can you serve and still lead? How are you able to serve another person and not be their leader, or not to tell them what to do in life? And so it helps a person to see that servant leaders put other people first. So here's a diagram on your screen. And it's like this. It's that if you have the leader, they lead everybody else. And they want to be in charge, and they want to look the best. But a servant leader puts other people above them. And he wants to, or she wants to be an encouragement to them. The servant leader is very different than the normal or the classical leader. Nelson Mandela, a great leader from South Africa, he was a leader that was imprisoned, I think, for over 30 years, and then he became the president of South Africa. He makes this statement about leadership. He says, a leader is like a shepherd. He stays behind the flock, letting the most nimble go ahead, whereupon others begin to follow, not realizing that all along the way they were being directed from behind. See, it's that these people are going in front, but the leader is encouraging them and is helping them and is enabling them to accomplish what they really want to accomplish. That is a servant leader. And so it is important to think, what kind of leader do I want to be? One that is in charge and tells people what to do, or one that serves another individual? I was on the train last week going to one of the campuses to lecture, and I was sitting down on the train, and the train was pretty full, and an older lady got on the train with her cane, and she was on the cane, and she was holding on beside the door. When I saw her, I thought, I will sit here because I'm comfortable. No, I thought she needs to sit down, and so I got up and I got her attention, and I said, would you please sit down? And first she said no, and then I said, no, you please, you sit. Because I was thinking about her more than thinking about my comfort. And that may be an example of being a servant. We all can serve other people. We put others before ourselves. And that's what servant leaders do. Servant leadership advocates building consensus in a group, meaning you need to listen, and you have to get other people's opinion about what is happening. Servant leaders have a social responsibility to help people who need to be helped. They help the people who cannot help themselves. A servant leader does. And lastly, on this line here, leaders shift authority to those who are being led. And a servant leader lets these people take responsibility. They say, yes, you can do the task, you can do the job, and helps them to do so. Servant leader is different than other kinds of leadership. It's concerned with putting followers first, but it is also important for followers to be receptive to this style of leadership. Some people do not want to have a servant leader. Some people just want to be told what to do. And so you have to, some people may not respond well to servant leadership. And then we'll hear some of the strengths of servant leadership is that it's selfless, has a selfless concern for others, is the very central component of the leadership process. And that leaders should share control with everyone else. And then lastly, because the name appears contradictory, some people do not even think it's leadership. They think, how can the servant leader be leadership if he or she is not in front? But so some people can be very confused about that. Now, I want to give you 8 characteristics of a servant leader. And I'll put them on the board as well. The first characteristic that we will look at is the characteristic of listening. A servant leader acknowledges the viewpoint of its followers and they validate these perspectives. See, a servant leader is one that will listen to those that they are leading. He gets or she gets their opinion. He may ask of them, what are you thinking? Are you doing okay? And he or she brings them involved and listens to what they have to say. Number 2, a servant leader is empathetic. It's another word, kind of almost like the word compassion. But they are empathetic. See what it says there is they stand in another person's shoes. They understand, or they try to understand, what their followers are thinking. I'll give you an example as well. As I have been lecturing in Japan, I've lectured here, I've lectured at Waseda, I've lectured at some other universities, I've lectured by Zoom at Tokyo Tech. And as I have been lecturing, I realized that you as students are listening to me with Japanese ears, and then you try to translate what I say, because you hear it, it's English, you translate it, and then you write it back down in English. And so your brain is going all the time, thinking, what is he saying? Obari Sensei has encouraged me as my mentor. He has said, Weakley Sensei, slow down and speak slowly. Because my tendency is to talk real fast. And so he said, slow down, and that gives people the process and the ability to think. So I want to understand and have empathy and listen to you and what you have. So that's a type of servant leader. Because the servant leader is thinking about others, not thinking about themselves. Number 3, a servant leader has awareness. They understand oneself and the impact it has on other people. A servant leader knows themselves well enough, and they say, am I communicating well? Am I interacting well? And they have self-awareness. That's actually, awareness is actually a part of EQ, which is another type of leadership. You have IQ, CQ, and even EQ, and awareness is a part of EQ. Number 4, it's the issue of persuasion. A servant leader persuades. And they persuade instead through gentle discussion instead of being coercive. They try to talk you in, they try to help you understand what is taking place, and they persuade you to follow along. They persuade you to work in those situations. And so that's the first 4. Listen, then empathy, awareness, and persuasion. Okay? And all of you are taking notes because at the end of class you will be able to look at your notes and do a report on your
You all
notes.
have to take at least 4 pages, today. Otherwise, you cannot pass this course. You're going to keep 4 pages. You have to take notes today while you're listening to lecture.
Okay, so to make sure you're taking notes, and
Focus on taking
the
notes.
PowerPoint will help
4
you to
pages.
think
More
about
than
some
4
of those
pages,
things.
okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
So it gives you a chance to get some more paper out if you need more paper.
Okay.
So again, the first thing is a servant leader listens. Secondly, the servant leader has empathy. Third, the servant leader has self-awareness. And fourth, the servant leader has persuasion. They persuade you. Now the next 4 are also very important. First of all, a servant leader has conceptualization. He or she has the ability to give a vision. Now again, in leadership, you're always taking people toward a vision. See, a servant leader isn't just a person who serves, but he or she serves toward the purpose. They help a person go to the purpose and serves them to commit that purpose. Number 6 is they have foresight. They're able to see what's going to happen, and they're able to help because they can see the future, not everything of the future, but they can forecast and think, I believe this is what's going to happen. They can help predict, and they can help their followers do well. Now, what's very important here is this. In COVID or coronavirus, we've wanted to see doctors that understand the coronavirus. And the doctors who have understood coronavirus have said, because of coronavirus, people need to wear a mask. Or because of coronavirus, we need to get a vaccine. Or because of the coronavirus, we need to be separate some. And they had foresight to look ahead. That's why Japan has had very, very few coronavirus problems compared to the rest of the world. Your government and your doctors and your leaders have said, everybody wear a mask. And what do the Japanese do? You always wear a mask. And so you obey the leaders and you follow them, but they serve you by helping you to understand what was taking place with coronavirus. So that's foresight, being able to look toward the future. Number 7 is a commitment to the growth of people. A servant leader is committed to not only, of course, not to themselves, to the other person, and they are committed to that person's growth. To them being able to understand how can you get better, how can you do the best. And number 8 is they are committed to the community. They are committed to having a community. Does anybody here on a baseball team or a sports team or basketball or any kind of a team, tennis team, dance team, or anything? Because a team sport means that you're not only committed to win, but you're committed to work together as a unit. And because you're together as a unit, LeBron James may be one of the best basketball players, but his team, if he cannot play as a team member, building community, his team does not win the championship. Instead, the Golden State Warriors won the championship. So there are 8 things. You listen, empathy, awareness, persuasion, conceptual or vision, foresight, commitment to growth, and community. Now what I want to ask you to do, and you can discuss with your person you're sitting beside, which of these 8 things do you think are the most important? I want you to choose which of the 2 issues of these do you think is the most important? Okay? And so discuss in your group with your partner which of the 2 is the most important. And then I'll come around and discuss with you. Go ahead and talk to each of them.
Conflict.
Both sides.
We can the conclusion.
Yeah.
Not
Two years.
community. We must listen. So I think this listening us building community.
Those two, listening and building community. Yeah. Okay.
I think emphasis
And ability to communicate.
Okay, encourage you all will be encouraged to speak in English, please. Yeah.
Okay. Which one of those did you think? Listening in. Okay, and foresight. You have foresight and listening. Good. Okay, what were you thinking? Building community. Okay, that's your first one. Okay. Good. Yeah, and I will continue to put those on the screen so you can think about it. Good. Those are very good. Okay. How about with you? Ethan, which one? Building community? Okay. All right. Which one did you think?
Which one?
Building community. Yes. All right. Great.
Foresight, I see. Why do you think so?
Conceptualization. That's a hard word. Yes. Conceptualization. Okay. All right. And you have one more? Awareness. Have the self-awareness. Good. And you?
Say why?
Foresight. Okay. Great. Do you have another one? Okay. Awareness. You have both have awareness. Good. Okay. How about you guys?
Why do you think so?
Listening is building community. Good. And yours is part. Same one. Listening is building community. Okay. Great.
COVID-19.
Which ones which ones did y'all have?
You have to give us a booklet of 1 page, okay? In Japanese.
Empathy and building community. You're the first person I've talked to that said empathy. So I've gone to the girls' side. You'll be more empathetic. So building community. And what was yours?
In English. You're going to read it and then tell us. What is it? Maybe not the translation. I don't like the translation. I don't need just, could you give me a
Which one of those?
consult or whatever? Okay.
Listening, or which one do you think is most important?
In English side, you are Japanese. Okay. And you have to always say,
empathy?
Why, no? Yeah.
Awareness?
Why did you choose
Awareness.
this?
Good,
Why?
that's good.
You have to support.
Which one do you
are
think?
reasonable.
Building community? Okay.
You see that you are a leader, sometimes your followers going to obey your commandment.
Foresight?
That's not the right thing. Leader is a servant. Yeah, leader
Which one did you
is a servant. To be a great leader, you have to be a great servant.
Building community?
It's entirely opposite. You see, usually the
And
leader would
birthday
like to
girls.
give some
Which one?
then the followers want to listen to your order. What? Just obey you. That's
And foresight.
not right. Servant.
Those are good. Yes.
Okay, the servant leadership. What is most important is to be a greatest servant. To be a greatest leader, you have to be serving others. You have to be a great servant. Okay, usually the leader will ask you to do this or to do that. Right? Leader is going to give you some commandment or order. Right? The followers are going to just listen and obey the leader, but that's not right. And the leaders are always serving. The leaders have to serve the followers. Okay, that's entirely opposite of a usual leadership. If you want to be a good leader, you have to serve others. Okay, that's what this servant is.
I like that. Boris didn't say thank you. Yeah, the greatest leader is the greatest servant. Or the greatest servant is the greatest leader. That's very, very important. And that was by Obari Sensei. Very, very important statement. Okay, I've discussed with you, I'm curious, we will go around the class, and I want to find out which one that you said. How many of you said that listening was the most important? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 listenings, all right. How many said empathy? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 empathies, all right. How about awareness? I mean, okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, 3 said awareness as well. How about persuasion? You know, no one told me persuasion as I walked around. None of you said persuasion. That's interesting. How about conceptual or vision? Conceptualization or vision? Somebody said that. Conceptualization and vision? Anyone? Okay. How about foresight? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 said foresight. You know, that's very, very important because foresight, if the leader is able to think ahead of the problem, let me show you a little diagram about foresight. As a leader goes and leads his group, or she leads her group up a hill or up a goal, there comes a point it starts to decline. What the leader has to do is at this point, they say, let's not do that, let's go there. And that's foresight. As soon as the leader starts to realize they are declining and not doing well, they go to the next point. And that is foresight. Having the ability to know when to change, when to move forward. And that's a servant leader can do that. Another one, how much to commitment to growth? How many said commitment to growth? 1, 2. 2 said commitment to growth, all right? And how about building community? All right, that was this. Almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 said building community. You know, that makes a lot of sense in Japan because in Japan is a collectivist country. You do things as a group in many situations. And so if you have a leader, if you have a servant leader who builds community and says, let's come together as a team, that's very, very important. In America, we are also often called a individualistic community, meaning we think of ourselves. And we don't go necessarily with our friends, but we do it by ourselves. I believe community is very, very important. And who is in your community is a significant thing. So we see 13 said community, 6 said foresight, 3 no persuasion, 3 awareness, 4 empathy, 3 listening, and then 2 on a commitment to growth as well. Thank you for doing that exercise with me. The next thing is what I want to do is I want to communicate in these 4 things. Instead of looking at 8, I'm going to give you 4 of my top characteristics for being a servant leader. And I call this the 4 pillars of leadership. The 4 pillars of leadership. And the first thing we're going to talk about is conviction. Then we're going to talk about companions or companionship. Then we will discuss courage. And lastly, we will talk about compassion. So conviction, companions, courage, and compassion. And those 4 pillars, those 4 posts, hold up the building. And they hold up the building of a servant leader. First of all is the issue of conviction. Conviction is the same, another word might be the word commitment. Commitment. What are the things that you are committed to? What are the things that you have very, very, very strong beliefs that are true? Abraham Lincoln, he was an American president, one of our best presidents ever in America, said, always bear in mind that your resolution to succeed is more important than any other. That if you have conviction, yes, I am committed, I will not stop. That will keep you moving. The issue of perseverance, it's endurance. It is not giving up. Now, convictions take place over time, and it's like actually concentric circles. It's like this right here. We have opinions. Those are many, many things. Like we have an opinion about the type of food to eat or what we like to wear. And those things are very insignificant. We have beliefs. They're that much more intense. They're strong beliefs, but a conviction is at the very center. It means that I believe this most of all in life. Let me give you an example of that. One of my convictions is that I need to tell the truth and not lie. A number of years ago, I was in a store and my watch battery went dead. And so when my watch battery went dead, I took my watch to the store. It was like the one that you have, and it has its little small screws in the back of the watch. And I took it to the watch repairman, and they basically took the screws out and took the back off so they could stick the battery in. Well, as they were doing that, they dropped that little screw, and that screw was very, very small. I mean, you could barely see it. It was silver, and the floor was gray, and they dropped the screw. So the leader, the repairman, got on their knees and started trying to find the screw. So I got on my knees, and I was trying to find the screw. And then I asked the question. I said, if we do not find the screw, what happens? And she said, I have to give you a brand new watch. So if I don't find the screw, I get a new watch. If I find the screw, they will put just a new battery in my watch. Well, as soon as she said that, I touched the screw. And I picked it up and I had it in my finger. And so I said, so if you do not find the screw, I get a new watch. But if I find a screw, I just get a new battery. She said, yes. I had a choice to make. Do I tell the truth and give her the screw so she can fix it, or do I put the screw in my pocket? And so what I did was I gave her the screw. Because I have a conviction that I need to tell the truth and not lie. And so in our lives, each of us have convictions. There are things that we will do or we will not do, that we will be honest, that we will not cheat, that we will be kind, or that we will be loving. There are things in our life. And a leader, a servant leader, has to have a conviction. They have to be people of convictions. Number two, a servant leader has companions. A servant leader has companions or companionship. They lead with other people. I want to talk to you about 3 types of companions. I discussed one of these last time, but I will talk about them some more. Companionship. Solomon of the king of Israel said this, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. For if either of them falls, one will lift up his companion. But woe to the one who falls when there's not another to lift him up. Furthermore, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one stay warm alone? And if one can overpower him who's alone, 2 can resist him. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly torn apart. That quote by Solomon says, you are stronger if there are 2 instead of 1. That you are warmer if there are 2 instead of 1. That you can resist the evil person if there are 2 instead of 1. Here's a Japanese quote. It says, a single arrow is easily broken, but not 10 in a bundle. And so we need to be people that have companions in life. There are 3 types of companions that we need to have. 3 types of companions that we need to have. We first need to have a VRP. Then we need to have VIP. and then VTPs. A VRP. A VRP is a very resourceful person. That is the person in your life that helps you, that leads you. They're like that mentor. Mentor is usually a person who's a little bit older than you are, or they have more experience than you have. It's a person that you go to for advice. It is the person that you look to and say, can you help me understand my class? Or can you help me understand tennis? Or can you help me understand the computer? It's someone that is leading you. It's a very resourceful person, a person that will help you. What I want you to do is I want you to think a question, who is your mentor? So on your piece of paper, I want you to write down the name of the person who you can either go to and ask, or a person that currently is your mentor or is your leader. So take just 1 minute and think, who would you write down is your mentor? My mentor is, and write that person's name down. My mentor is, and write their name on your piece of paper.
You know the mentor. Mentor means 良き相談相手とかね、自分がある程度信頼して指示できる人とかいろいろあるでしょうね。助言者でもいいですよね。Who are going to be your mentors? Okay? Who is your mentor?
And what you might need to do, if you cannot think of someone, you might want to think of a person that you could go talk to and say, would you be my mentor? Would you help me to learn? And often you go and talk to mentors and they will help you because you asked them to. So who is your mentor? That's the first one we're going to talk about. The second type of friend is the VIP. It's the very important person, and they are your friend. They're the person that is probably the same age, but they're the person that will tell you the truth. They're the person that will keep you from harm. They're the person that will help you. I will write those words on the board. They will help. They will keep you from harm. They will assist you. You can go to them anytime, night or day, and you can call them or you can text them and you can say, I need help. You're my friend. Will you please help me? Or will you come and take care of me? Or will you come and help me and keep me from harm? I have traveled all over the world and taught. I have taught in Slovakia. I've taught in the Philippines. I've taught classes in Russia, in Belarus. I went and I taught in Poland in 1989, the country of Poland. And in 1989, the country of Poland, it was still a communist country years and years ago. And I went with a lot of money in my pocket, and I was an American. The average person living in Poland made $200 for the entire year, or maybe only 20,000 yen for the entire year. A very, very poor country at that point. And we were warned when we went to Poland, they said, be careful because the city that you're going to is known for pickpocketers. It's known for people that will steal your wallet out of your pocket and take your money. And so I was in the city there with two friends, and we all went to different stores, and then we came back to the very center of the city. And I was in the center of the city, and three Polish men walked up to me and started talking to me. And one said, talk to me, and was speaking in Polish, and I did not understand. I would say, no resuming, I did not understand. Then he would speak to me, and then he would speak to me. Then Amanda back would speak to me, and they kept getting closer and closer to me. And I did not understand. I was and they were talking real loud, and I was turning around and they were getting closer and closer. And then all of a sudden, someone grabbed my shoulder, and I turned, it was my friend named Eddie. And Eddie said, Thomas, let's go. He grabbed me and pulled me away. And I said, thank you. He said, do you know what they were doing? And I said, no. And he said, they were about to steal your money. And they had you turning, and they were getting closer and closer, and they were going to take your wallet out of your pocket. But my friend grabbed me and took care of me. Who is your friend? Do you have a friend that will help you in hard times? Do you have a friend that is watching your back, that says, be careful? Do you have a friend that will help you through hard times? So on your piece of paper, I want you to write the name of your friend. Write the name of your friend. The person that will tell you the truth, the person that will help you when you're being harmed, that will assist you. A servant leader leads a person like that as well. And lastly, the last kind of relationship that servant leaders have, or companion, is a very teachable person. A BTP, a very teachable person. That is the person that you are leading. That is the person that looks up to you and says, help me, lead me, take care of me, will you teach me? You are my example. That is the person that you give life to. Now I know this is a first year class, and many of you look up to the third year or maybe the second year class. But people look up to you as well. Do you have someone that you are leading? Is there someone that is following you? And that is a servant leader. Again, a leader influences others in this direction. Are you a leader? Are you influencing others? And if you are a leader, what kind of leader are you? Are you empathetic? Do you listen? Are you compassionate? Are you kind? Or are you tough and mean and strong or harsh? Those are the three types of companions that we see. The third word in the pillar of leadership is the issue of courage. The issue of courage. Servant leaders need courage. Again, Nelson Mandela says, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over fear. The brave man is not the one who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. You understand? You hear that again? One more time. He learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but doing the things that you fear. It's the brave man is the one who does not, not that he does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. And they help other people go from fear to faith. Everyone is fearful. All of us have concerns. All of us get anxious. All of us are nervous. All of us need courage. We need a leader that gives us courage, or that imparts courage. Christopher Columbus said, you can never cross the ocean until you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. You can never cross the ocean until you lose sight of the shore. Moses of Israel said, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or tremble at the sight of them, for the Lord your God is with you. He was leading an entire nation, and he told the people, be strong and courageous, because God is with you. Muhammad Ali said, he who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life. Muhammad Ali was the greatest boxer of all time, heavyweight boxer. And he said, he who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in this life. The last pillar is, first we had conviction, then we had companions, then we have courage, and the last pillar is the pillar of compassion. The pillar of compassion. I have Douglas MacArthur, the great military leader from America, said a true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. See those three things? Again, he has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, but the compassion to listen to others and their needs. He does not need to set out to be a leader, but becomes one by the equality of his actions and integrity of his intent. See, if you are courageous and you have courage, but you do not have compassion, then you are hard on people and you might run too fast and people cannot follow. If you have companions, but you do not have compassion, then what you might do is scare your companions away because I want a kind leader. If you have commitment and convictions, but you do not have compassion, then people know what you think, but they don't think that you care for them. I heard a man say to me, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so if you're not compassionate, people will not follow you. You can be a hard leader. Dalai Lama, leader in Tibetan Buddhism, said this: love and compassion are necessities. They're not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. If we do not love others and have compassion, humanity will not survive. Saul of Tarsus said about compassion, put on a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another and forgiving each other. And and beyond all these things, put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity. He calls compassion like a coat, and he says, put it on. Wear compassion. Wear kindness and wear humility around others. The Apostle Matthew from Israel said, and seeing the multitudes, Jesus felt compassion for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd, or sheep without any leaders. One of the most common things that were said about Jesus, the greatest leader of all time, was that he was compassionate and caring for others. So the question is then, what is the foundation of your leadership? Now there's 4 things: conviction, companions, courage, and compassion. What I'd like to ask you to do before I have this next closing point is I want you to think a minute and then discuss with the person beside you which one of these is your strong point. Yes, this is true. And which one of these do I need? And so again, you're asking the question, I need and I am strong. So I need maybe compassion or conviction or courage. But I am strong in which one? Conviction, companions, courage, or compassion. So think about yourself, and then after you think about yourself, tell your friend which one that is true. And then we will discuss, and we'll be done in just a minute. First, think about yourself. I need one of those 4 C's. I am strong in which other one? Okay, discuss. Tell your friend. Which one do you think? You need courage. Okay, all right. You need courage. All right. And which one are you strong in? What do you think? I'm compassion. Okay, good. That's good. Empathy, because you talked about empathy earlier. Which one do you think you need? Courage, okay. And which one do you think? Thank you. Which one do you think you need? Companions, okay. And how about you? Which one do you think you need? You need courage, okay. Courage, all right. Which one do you think you need? Courage. How about you? Which one do you think you need? You said companions? Oh, compassion. Compassion. Oh, compassion. Good, thank you. Which one do you think you need? I need conviction, okay. And then our strong is compassion, okay. How about you?
I need courage.
Okay.
I'm strong with
Compassion, okay, good. Yes. Good.
Use English, please. No?
So which one do you think you need and which one is your courage, okay. And which one is your strong in? Compassion, good. Yours is I need, which means I need courage, okay. And strong in compassion. All right, good. But which I need versus I'm strong. Okay. And strong in companions. Okay, companions. Which one is I need courage? And I'm strong in compassion. Okay.
I need courage.
Courage.
I'm strong. Compassion.
Okay. All right, good. Yes, that's very common. Yes. Courage. Okay. Okay. All right. And you're strong in compassion. Okay. All right. Good. Good. And you need courage. And you're strong in conviction. Okay. And courage. Okay. And you're strong in companion. That's good. I asked most of you, I think I got everyone's answer, and I asked the question, which one do you need? You know, and the four were conviction, companions, courage, and compassion. The number one answer I heard from the class is I need courage. If you said I need courage, let me see your hand. Almost everyone said I need courage. That's really interesting. That's really good. Many of you said that you had compassion. That was your strength. And others said companions. One person said conviction. I need to die, that you're strong in conviction. But a servant leader, that's interesting. A servant leader will help give you courage. Because again, remember what I said over here? A leader is an example. They give you hope. They take you from fear to hope to courage. And they also encourage your heart. And so servant leadership is very applicable to you. I want to finish up this lecture and then we'll turn it over to your assignment. See, there has to be a foundation to the pillars. What supports those pillars? Each pillar stands, and it stands on something. Does it stand by itself, or does it stand on many things? And it stands on one thing, I believe. For some people, the foundation to your leadership is your organization or your group. Sometimes when you live in a collectivist society like Japan is, if my group stays together, we'll have strength and courage. Well, sometimes that's true, but often in leadership, the group only is as strong as its weaker member. And so you have to be careful if it's the group. For some people, their foundation is their self. Yes, I'm in charge, I can do this. But each of us know our heart. Each of us know that we need courage or that we can be fearful. And so I have found myself is not a good foundation. I even disappoint myself. For some people, it's their mentor. And their mentor is wonderful. My mentor gave me this watch. It's your mentor. But even our mentors are not perfect. Even our leaders make mistakes. And if our leaders are making mistakes, then it's hard for us to trust them. And so mentors can be a person that is difficult for our foundation. There is a leader that is a good example and a good mentor for you. He's a Japanese leader. He has died years ago, but he was a leader in World War II. He went to Waseda University. Chunaya Sugahari. He was the leader that helped to save thousands of Jewish people during World War II. He was a person of conviction. He knew what was right and wrong, and he was willing to go to prison because of that. He was a person of compassion. He understood how important other people were, and he loved other people, and he was a great person of courage. Let me give you a quote that he said. Says I wrote it down here. He says, for 45 years after signing the visas, he was asked, why did you save so many people? Sugahara said he gave two reasons why he saved people. He says, one is that these refugees